Hey everyone, welcome back to Scrummy. Today I'm going to be making apple tart, a real Irish apple tart it's going to be. It's got lots of apple in it, there's a really nice pastry, the pastry's got lots of butter in it, and there's some baking powder in it so you get a nice rise on the pastry. We're going to start with the pastry first. Let's get started. For the pastry I'm using plain flour, and into this add baking powder and stir it in. You can also use self-raising flour as well, but just leave out the baking powder. To get perfect pastry, I like to use frozen butter, and I grate it before I rub it into the flour to get a breadcrumb consistency. Add in the sugar and stir it in. Beat a medium egg and pour it in. Use a fork to get the pastry together, and then what I usually do is I just get my hands in there and then get it into a ball. Use a little extra flour if it's very sticky. Wrap in some cling film and chill for 30 minutes. It's important to do this step because it makes it easier to roll out the pastry. While the pastry's chilling, we can make our apple filling. I'm using Bramley apples, I've got 3 large ones here. So we're going to peel these now and chop them up into chunks. I'm going to stew these apples for about 10 minutes. I love my apple tarts nice and juicy, and I find cooking the apples beforehand much nicer than just slicing the apples into the tart. It's your personal choice, whatever you like. Place the apples into a saucepan, add in the sugar, cinnamon and a little water before stirring everything together. Now we're going to cook it for about 5 to 10 minutes. Place on a medium heat and bring to the boil before simmering for 10 minutes. The apple is ready and we've still got some nice apple chunks in there, and that's how we want it. Now we're going to roll out the pastry, cut it in half and sprinkle some flour on top. Knead it a little before you roll it out. This pastry can be sticky due to the amount of butter in it, so use lots of flour to get it rolled out. So flour on the bottom and flour on the top. Measure your plate to make sure the pastry is big enough to cover it. This plate I'm using is 8 inches in size. Place the pastry on the plate and pat it down. Add the cooled cooked apples to the centre and spread it out. Leave some space on the outer edge and brush with a little milk. Roll out the second portion of pastry and place it on top of the apples. Gently pat down the pastry, using a fork dip it in some cold water and press gently to seal the pastry. Do this all the way along the edge of the tart. Using a sharp knife, cut a small cross in the centre so that the steam escapes during baking. Using the same knife, remove the excess pastry from the side of the plate. Brush all over with some milk, and this will give the pastry a lovely golden colour as it bakes. Now if you like, you can add some pastry decorations. I made these little hearts and I think they'll look really cute on top of the tart. Brush them all over with a little milk, and there you have it. It's ready for the oven and it's going to take about 25 to 30 minutes to bake. Place in a preheated oven, 200 degrees Celsius or 180 Celsius if you're using a fan oven. Allow the tart to cool for about 30 minutes before cutting into it. I like to leave it a little bit longer, maybe for a couple of hours, because I find you get a much better cut if you do that. Cut a nice big slice. Freshly baked apple tart is best served with a big dollop of whipped cream. And there you have it, my gorgeous apple tart packed with juicy apples and a beautiful crumbly pastry. Thanks so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this apple tart recipe and you give it a go. It really is gorgeous and you're going to love it. If you could subscribe to my channel on YouTube and follow my page on Facebook, I would really appreciate that. Happy baking everyone. Enjoy!